Welcome and thank you for standing by. At this time, all participants are in listen-only mode. Today's webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be posted publicly. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now I would like to turn the call over to Ms. Kim Brown. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on data on a deadline for journalists. My name is Kim Brown, and I'm a training specialist here at the U.S. Census Bureau. I want to thank you for joining us today for the Back to Data Basics webinar series. The series was created by the Census Bureau team here at the Census Bureau, or I should say Census Academy team here at the Census Bureau. You can register for any of the webinars at the Census Bureau homepage. Just visit census.gov/academy. We think these webinars will be a valuable opportunity for you to learn from our experts about how to access and utilize a variety of Census Bureau data products, tools, and resources. Before I introduce today's speaker, let's go over a few important housekeeping rules. As mentioned earlier, this webinar is being recorded. For your convenience, it will be posted to our Census Academy site within 30 business days. We'll post all supplemental materials, including the PowerPoint slides. In terms of how to ask questions during the webinar, you can submit your written questions using the Q&A panel, which is at the bottom center or at the right side of your WebEx screen. Please take a moment to locate that now. Once you've found the Q&A panel, make sure you choose all panelists from the drop-down menu. This will ensure we see your question. Don't send your question to an individual panelist. Also, we ask that you do not include any personal or business identifiable information for your questions. Now, let's talk about the chat panel. Look for that on your screen now. It's probably right next to the Q&A panel. Definitely keep that chat panel open also, because this is where we will provide key links and other resources. Keep in mind, you won't be able to respond to the chat. Chat is just for us to send you links and other resources. In the chat box, we will be sharing through our webinar the link for the evaluation. We are very interested in hearing from you on how we're doing. My colleague, Viviana Garcia, will be monitoring the Q&A panel. As time allows, we will answer your questions directly through the Q&A panel, or we will share your question with the presenters to respond to after the presentation. If we don't get to all questions with the response during the webinar, we will post the questions and responses with the webinar materials within 30 business days. And lastly, near the end of the webinar, we'll put into chat the link to our evaluation so you can tell us how we did. We hope that you'll take the time to complete. As always, we're looking for ways to improve our training. As you know, we are in a virtual environment and sometimes technical difficulties may occur. If you have any issues, try a different browser, consider using Chrome. Please consider logging out and coming back into the session. Now, I would like to introduce our speaker, Ileana Serrano and Christina Barrett. Thanks again for being here. Ileana, you may begin.
Thank you, Kim, and good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us in our Back to Data Basics webinar series. Our webinar today is Data on a Deadline for Journalists. This webinar is not intended to be a training or a tutorial session, but more of an introduction to some of the data released from the Census Bureau, the tools available to access the data, and media resources to help you in gathering information for your stories. And just to make it a little bit more fun and engaging, there will be 3 pop quizzes peppered throughout the presentation. And when we get to the questions, you can key in your answers in the chat or the Q&A if you wish, and the answers will be provided at the conclusion of the presentation. My name is Ileana Serrano. I will be one of your presenters today. I have been with the Census Bureau for about 30 years in different capacities, and now I help the public understand the data we release and aid them in navigating the many data tools available 24/7 on census.gov. Christina Barrett will be your co-presenter, and she is a public affairs specialist with the Media Relations branch of the Census Bureau, and she will be taking you on a live tour of our newsroom. So who are we, what do we do, and what support is available to you? So I'm one of the many data dissemination specialists available across the country that conducts trainings, presentations, and responds to inquiries from data users. Our team is responsible for providing data services across the nation. To learn more about the specialists in your area, contact us at census.askdata@census.gov. I'll be sharing this contact information again at the end of the presentation, as well as sometimes doing via chat. You can also learn more about our services and request trainings for your organization by visiting census.gov/academy. Our services are free of cost, and whilst visiting Census Academy, don't forget to check out our data gems, our upcoming and recorded webinars and courses. Our data gems are short videos, which are a great way to learn how to access and use our data. The webinar today is expected to last about an hour, and we will be taking questions at the end. So let's begin. This is basically what we're going to cover today. It's going to be a high-level overview of the Census Bureau data and programs for which we have our major data releases. Tour you through some of the many data tools that we have, not all of them because we have a lot, but just the main ones. And then we will give you a tour of the newsroom. I will demo censusreporter.org, which is a tool that journalists use a lot. And Christina will navigate you through a tour of the newsroom. And lastly, we will have some time for some question and answers. Our objective for today's session is to familiarize you with where to find press kits, where the press releases are, and the tip sheets, and of course the news releases, where you can go to request an embargo account, learn about the embargo policy, how to cite Census Bureau data, the procedures for securing a subject matter expert, and if you would like an interview, to interview someone, and where and when survey data are released, where you can access 2020 census data, how to use the American Community Survey data, where the data tools are available, or I should say what data tools are available, and also to hopefully gain some insights about our other data tools. So we'll start with a little bit of information on who we are, what we do, especially the other 9 years when we aren't counting everyone in the nation, and why we do what we do. We are the Census Bureau, of course, which is part of the Commerce Department, and the largest of 17 primary federal government statistical agencies. And while we are better known for the decennial census, that is not all that we do. We operate under Title 13 and Title 26 of the U.S. Code to conduct over 130 surveys of households and of businesses across the nation each year. We do this because the Census Bureau is dedicated to providing current facts and figures about America's people and economy. Our mission is to serve as the nation's leading provider of quality data, and our goal is to provide the best mix of timeliness, relevancy, quality, and cost for the data we collect and the services that we provide. So what are some of the products from the decennial census? Well, aside from the apportioning congressional representation data, Results from the decennial census are used to draw congressional and state legislative districts, school districts, and voting precincts. Decennial census data is also used to distribute more than $675 billion in federal funds each year. Census data is also used to inform federal, tribal, state, and local government planning decisions, such as infrastructure updates, expansion, and services for their residents and their communities. And businesses and private individuals use the data to make informed decisions on where to locate a business, analyze a service area, or better yet is to get a better understanding of their community. So from decennial census, apportionment data was released April of 2021. The redistricting data was released in a legacy format in August and then publicly available through data.census.gov in September. The results of the 2020 data quality release metrics, I should say the metrics, were released in March of 2022. So we just got through some of the high-level decennial census data. Now we're going to go into the American Community Survey. The ACS is an ongoing nationwide annual survey that shows what the U.S. population looks like and how it lives. The ACS produces characteristics of the population and housing in the U.S. and Puerto Rico. So instead of counting the entire population once a decade, like the decennial, the ACS surveys a sample of the population every year to create statistics of the nation, states, and communities at varying geographic levels. These data are collected continuously throughout the year, including the decennial census, to produce annual social, economic, housing, and demographic estimates. The ACS products are released about a year after the data are collected and are released in the form of a 1-year and a 5-year period estimate. However, for the 2020 ACS 1-year estimate, the U.S. Census Bureau released experimental data due to the impacts of COVID-19. The 5-year estimates release was the standard full suite of data. Excuse me. The ACS collects data over a period of time, namely 1 year or 12 months, or 5 years, 60 months. And this is known as a period estimate, as opposed to the decennial census, which reflects a point in time, meaning the data collected as of April 1st. The 1-year estimate combines data collected over a 12-month period and is available for geographic areas with populations of 65,000 or more. 5-year estimates combine data collected over a 60-month period of time and is available for all geographic areas. Now, it's important to understand the difference in the estimates because they may present different results and may not provide data for what you are looking for. With all the data available from the census's surveys and programs, it's important to understand that not all data is available for all geographies. What you're looking at is a diagram of the hierarchy of census geography, in particular to some of the geographies for which ACS data are available and the relationships between them. The lower geographic areas fit neatly within the larger areas directly connected with the lines. But for example, school, congressional, and state legislative districts, they fit neatly within the states and do not cross state boundaries. However, they may cross boundaries of counties and metropolitan areas. Also in this diagram, you can see that the smallest geographic building block is the block level. This though is unique for the decennial census. With ACS, it would be at the block group level. So we just learned of the scope of the ACS, the period releases, and the geographies covered. Now we will explore the data content as gathered from the questions asked on the ACS questionnaire, and these can be grouped into 4 main types of characteristics. Under social characteristics, it includes topics such as educational attainment, language spoken at home, migration, and disability status. The economic characteristics include topics such as commuting, occupation and industry, health insurance, and more. ACS also collects basic demographic characteristics such as age, sex, race, Hispanic origin, and relationships, which are the same questions or information collected on the decennial census form. Housing characteristics include topics such as tenure, housing costs, utility, computer and internet use, and more. So now, let me introduce you to the Current Population Survey. This survey is sponsored jointly by the U.S. Census Bureau and the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The CPS is a national, cross-sectional, monthly survey, which is the source of official statistics on labor force for the U.S. It provides a comprehensive body of data on the labor force, employment, unemployment, persons not in the labor force, hours of work, earnings, and other demographics, and labor force characteristics for BLS or Bureau of Labor Statistics. In addition to being the primary source of monthly labor force statistics, the CPS is used to collect data for a variety of other studies that keep the nation informed of the economic and social well-being of its people. This is done by adding a set of supplemental questions to the monthly basic CPS questions. The supplemental inquiries vary month to month and cover a wide variety of topics such as child support, volunteerism, health insurance coverage, and school enrollment. And this is your first pop quiz. Okay, let's test your knowledge here. So what is the current unemployment rate? And that would be the national unemployment rate. Okay, so go ahead and surf the web and see if you can get the answer. Excuse me. Another program I'd like to introduce you to is the Population Estimates Program. The Census Bureau's Population Estimate Program produces estimates of the population for the United States at the state level, metropolitan and micropolitan statistical areas, counties, cities, towns, as well as for Puerto Rico and its municipios. These annual estimates are the official population and housing numbers between decennial censuses. Also, the demographic components of population change, meaning birth, death, and migration, are produced at the national, state, and county levels of geography. Additionally, housing unit estimates are produced for the nation, states, and counties. And I can't leave without talking about our economic programs. The economic census, which is the more comprehensive, measures the nation's economy every 5 years, providing vital statistics for virtually every industry and geographic area in the country. Our economic surveys are conducted monthly, quarterly, and yearly. They cover selected sectors of the nation's economy and supplement the economic census with more frequent information about our dynamic economy. These surveys yield more than 400 annual reports, including principal economic indicators. For example, listed in the indicators, and that you can find on the forward-facing page of census.gov, you have data for the Survey of Construction, or SOC, which is partially funded by the Department of Housing and Urban Development and provides housing data such as new residential sales. And if the previous surveys and programs didn't get your mind spinning, there is the Census of Governments. And this is conducted every 5 years, the results of which identifies the scope and nature of the nation's state and local governments. And this is your second question. Sales of new single-family homes in February of 2022, that's this year, was at what number? Okay, so go ahead and see if you can get it. All right, so We do cater to a variety of data users with unique needs, and we offer a variety of data access tools to help access our data. This is a list of a few of those tools, and all the data tools are available from the census.gov website, and they're available 24/7. Okay, so let's review a few of these. QuickFacts, which is the first one, provides a selected statistics, or I should say provides selected statistics for all states, counties, cities, and towns with a population of 5,000 or more. My congressional district gives you quick and easy access to selected statistics collected by the ACS and the county business patterns. Then we have my tribal area. This one gives you quick and easy access to selected ACS statistics of tribal areas. Over here on the far right in the middle panel, you have On the Map. This is a mapping and reporting tool for exploring where the U.S. workers live and works, as well as identifying the workforce characteristics for geographic areas. Right below it is our Census Business Builder tool. This provides selected demographic data from the ACS and the economic data from the Census Bureau to help users explore the feasibility of starting or growing a business, or to help someone understand the business landscape for a region. Here, over on the left middle, is data.census.gov. This is the platform that, I should say, this is the data dissemination platform used to access demographic and economic data from the Census Bureau. And then we have the Application Programming Interface, or the API. The API lets our developers create custom apps to reach new users and makes key statistics more accessible than ever before. Census Reporter is the tool that I will feature for you, and it helps journalists navigate, visualize, and understand information from the U.S. Census Bureau. And lastly, out of the many that we have, is our COVID-19 Data Hub. This hub contains demographic and economic data designed to help guide decision-making related to the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, so this is what this COVID-19 Data Hub looks like, and there are 2 pages to it. Okay, high level and then more particular information. It centralizes your data and information on population, demographics, economic indicators, and businesses. This site provides users demographic risk factor variables along with economic data and 20 key industries impacted by the coronavirus. And then the Census Bureau has publicly available data sets and tools to assist in the equitable distribution of resources and identifying underserved communities. We supply a variety of data tools that help the public and policymakers understand the issues surrounding inequities and enable them to purpose effective database solutions. We invite you to browse our Data Equity Library with its online collection of equity-related data visualizations, infographics, photos, audio, video, working papers, and more. Okay. A couple of the data equity tools are the pulse surveys. The household pulse surveys measure how people's lives have been or are being impacted by the coronavirus, and continues to measure how the coronavirus pandemic is impacting households across the country from a social and economic perspective. And I believe we're in phase 3.4 right now. With the Small Business Survey, this survey measures changes in business conditions during COVID-19. The data is available by sector and state for the 50 most populous metropolitan statistical areas, and the survey results give local, state, and federal officials essential real-time data to aid in policy and decision-making. And in addition, the information aids businesses in making economic decisions and assist researchers in studying the effects of the pandemic. The Community Resiliency Estimates, or CRE. This program provides for an easily understood metric for how at risk every county and neighborhood at the tract level in the United States is to the impacts of disasters, such as hurricanes, floods, earthquakes, wildfires, and the pandemic, such as COVID-19. And we also have visualizations and infographics. And some of these let you interact with the data as well as providing information in a more visual, interesting way. Okay, we also feature stories on various topics such as families, housing, employment, business, education, the economy, emergency management, and population. It is how the Census Bureau tells the stories behind the numbers. Designed in the style of an online newsroom, America Count features headlines, graphics, videos, and stories about Census Bureau data. So at this point, let me jump out, and we're going to go to, okay, we are going to go to Census Reporter. Okay, and we're by remembering the link, it's in the presentation, which will be posted for you within 30 days. This tool is basically, or I should say what I'm going to do now, is basically an intro to censusreporter.org. This platform is used to access current ACS data in an easy, digestible view. In other words, more centralized and more targeted, if you will, the data that you get back. And if you scroll, you are going to see that you're going to have here different little video tutorials that you can peruse at your leisure to help you navigate or learn this tool. These are examples of the different kind of interactions. These are all interactive displays of the data that you can definitely work with. And down in the bottom, you've got topics that you can pop in right away. And I'll come back to these after our tour. So say, for instance, you are trying to gather data for a specific area. In my case, I am in Chicago. I grew up around Wrigley Field. And in that area, there has been a lot of transition. I haven't been there in a while. I want to see what's going on. So, and I have an address, a specific number. I could do one of two things. 1060. Okay, this is the address to Cubs Park, the offices. So I want to see what's around there. And when you type it in, the tool will bring you directly to different geographies that you can view and also a targeted view of where you are at. All right, so this is the area that I want to look at. And if you drill in further, here you can see the ballpark, okay? And the offices are right across the street. Right now, this is where the marquee is at in the middle. Now they have a park over here and a big store over here, but the offices are right across the street from that. So I want to see what housing is there, because when I was growing up there was a lot of single family homes and a lot of families living in that area. But from what I hear, it has changed a lot. So I can come up on the left-hand side and look at different geographies for that particular address, depending on how far the scope is in my mind. So I can look at the block level, or I can look at the tract level, the zip code. And every time, let me zoom out a little bit so you can see better. Every time you select a different geography, the tool will highlight for you that relationship, where that zip code covers that particular ground geography. So as you can see, the larger the geography, the more covered or colored your map becomes, okay? So State House District 12 is right up along the lakefront, and say I wanted to look at that, okay, because that's where my high school was at. I used to bounce around there a lot. So right now, here is your geographic representation, and if you scroll down, you start to get data, okay? Telling me it's a pretty young area, okay? Keep coming down. There are equal distribution of male, female, okay, mostly white. You come down, you've got median income per capita, okay? Now I want to look at basically the housing. What kind of housing exists in that area? And if we come down, I'm looking at different structures. What is this telling me? And of course, if anybody that lives in Chicago and has been here knows that the lakefront is peppered with high-rises. So this is no surprise. We have a lot of multi-unit, not that many single, okay, but that's to be expected. And the value for these condos, these apartment units, are averaging at $365K, okay? And so this is just one view that you can get for that area. Now, that is right over there. Now, I want to go back to where my address, and all you do is just click the back arrow, and I want to look at that tract. Not so much as the lakefront, but that particular tract where the fields is at, the friendly confines is at. And I'm coming down to it. All right, pretty young age that resides there, about 27 years old. And in terms of the distribution, there are more males than female. Not a lot, but it's there. Under economics, median income is a little higher than the lakefront, which is, to me, a little bit surprising because that was prime area across the street from the lake. But anyway, it's 103. These are the insights that you gain from using this tool. And coming back down, what about the housing? All right, here it's telling me a lot of them are occupied, not a lot of vacancies, which is understandable. Ownership, renter, a lot of rents, of course, and then the type of structures. Again, when I grew up, there were a lot more single-family homes in that area, but because of gentrification and the development since the lights came to Wrigley, a lot of those single-family homes, the gray stones that used to be 2, 3, 4 flats, converted, and so now you have a lot more multi-unit structure. Greystones converted into 3 or 4 different condos, and some of the A-frames demolished and built 3, 4, structures as well. Median value as compared to the lakefront or that tract, look at $554,000. Tells me a lot, okay? So that's just one way that this tool can help you in gaining insights of what an area looks like, okay? And you can build upon that. Depending on if you want a place, you can put the city of Chicago, or you don't have to have an address. You can just look at a place, a county, so on and so forth. You can expand on that. Now, down at the bottom, okay, after these examples, you have these topic links. This will get you to the different tables that are available from ACS that have that particular topic. So for instance, I want to look at disability. Okay, you're going to get in a concise area. You are viewing the questions that are asked in ACS that deal with the disability. Here in the middle, you've got the different categories of disability that we measure. And then these are your particular tables that you can use to import into, copy this into data.census.gov, and then drill down to the particular geography that you are looking for. As an example, let's look independent living. I'm going to look at that table, and here you're getting your data. Oh, and if you didn't catch that, go back. This is the definition, independent living. Difficulty is, has difficulty doing errands alone, such as visiting a doctor's or doctor's office or shopping. So it's 181007. That's the table that has data that I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it, and you can go to census.gov under Explore Data. Over to the left, Explore Data Main. We're going to go to data.census.gov. Okay, access it by clicking on that green tab, and I'm going to paste my table there, and it brings back the data. I can map it or I can view the table. I'm going to look at the table because right now it is defaulting to the U.S. But in more particular, I want to look at data for the city of Chicago. So on the left-hand side, click in geography, and this can apply to the city of Chicago. You can do a state, a place. Actually, let's look at, let's go to place, and then I will go to Wisconsin, and we're going to look at Milwaukee. Okay, so let's go look at, this is the tedious part that we have to scroll through. And getting there. Okay, city of Milwaukee. So there's my table. You can close it off, click it, close off, and here's my view. For the city of Milwaukee, here's my table that contains that disability topic that I was looking for in terms of independent living. And here are my estimates from the ACS. Okay, using this tool, once you set your geography, you can print. I wouldn't suggest printing because that's limited capability, but you can download it to an Excel spreadsheet. And mine does it here on the left. When you open it up, it will open it up in an Excel spreadsheet. First page is the data information. Down at the bottom, you have your data tab. And this is everything that was on that table that we were viewing. It has the data, okay, that I was looking for. You can map it if you like by clicking the map icon. Okay, and from here on, you can do your expansion or retraction, if you like, in terms of drilling in further to a different layer, if you will, of geography. Okay, let's go to census tract. And then here you have the tracts in Milwaukee, and then you can select the ones that you want to look at. Okay, and then you can also do a polygon, as they say, draw in the areas that you want. But now I'm just going to select a few tracts. Okay, and then this is the way you get your geography changed within the tool, so you don't have to jump in and jump out all the time or change. Here we have the tracks that I selected, and it's still retaining the main geography that we started with. Okay, and that is just, like I said, a very quick intro into using the tool with it's not extensive, but we do have lots of webinars on Census Academy, our data gems that will walk you through each of these points in terms of creating a report, visualizing your data, selecting your geography, and how to navigate through this tool. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to show you, and this is relative, I mean, it just got released yesterday. It is our Community Explore tool. I haven't mastered it yet, but I'm going to give you a quick preview, and it seems rather easy, but it opens up to a PDF of what it is that that tool has for you and how you can use it. I recommend that you read it, go through it so you understand what it is that we are dealing with. Now, this area is a little slow. Here we go. So the tool opens up, and it's going to give you two panels that you're looking at, two map representations. On the left-hand side, it's American Community Survey data for your demographics, you got county business patterns, and you have non-employer statistics. It is interactive, and you can jump right in and drill down to any particular area that you want. On the right-hand side of the panel is the Community Resiliency Estimate. This will give you those risk factors so that you can look at what risks are involved in that geography that you're looking at, and it goes down to the tract level so that if you have a service or planning a program, you can look at what's available there. You can come over to the context on the upper right-hand side, and this is where you're going to select your state. Let's go to California, and then we're going to select a county. And let's see, Merced County. And so now you start getting the data that you can flip back and forth on the resiliency of that community or the demographics, county business patterns, or non-employer statistics. Down here below the map panels are profiles that you can access. They're already done for you based on the criteria you select. Okay, you've got economic profile, social characteristics that you can download and look at itself, and you want a big screen, click on these 4 little arrows and it will expand the screen for you. Race and ethnicity, okay, at the tracks. And again, this is interactive, so you can come back in and select something, different. There it is, it's popping in the information for you. And then you have your business profile. Okay, so like I said, it was just released yesterday. I encourage you to come in and explore the tool because it does have, instead of bouncing around from different sites or doing all of these clicks to get at your data, it is here for you. Okay, the basic information is here for you. Okay, all right, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Christina so she can take you on a tour of the newsroom. Christina, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Let me make sure. Okay, I think I am showing my screen. So PIO serves as the liaison between the Census Bureau and the media. Our services include preparing news releases and announcements for news organizations and connecting journalists to our Census Bureau subject matter experts for interviews and information to support your news stories. I'm going to take a few minutes and walk you through our newsroom and highlight just a few areas so you can know where to find our latest news, updates, and resources. So to access the newsroom from census.gov, the blue bar up at the top, scroll over and hover over information for, and then click media and newsroom. And that's going to take you to our newsroom, which is basically the jumping off point for all of our different products and resources. So I would like to highlight the bulleted items here in the middle. So we have our embargoed releases. So for accredited media who are signed up for embargo access, we allow early access to data for certain designated releases. Our next embargoed release is going to be the cities and towns population estimates, and along with the housing units for the nation, states, and counties. So that will go under embargo May 17th, and it will be available for public release on May 19th. So the embargo site, if you click on embargoed releases, it's going to take you to our newsroom login. And this is where you put in your information. And if you are a new user, you can register down here at the bottom. Okay, so subscriptions. We also offer an email subscription service, and you can sign up for those on the subscription link. And you can basically choose whatever, it's like a menu of what you're interested. If you just want 2020 census decennial related information, you can click on just that, or you can get just ACS or anything having to do with certain subjects like demographics, economy, population, that kind of thing. Back to our newsroom. Over on the left-hand side here, we talk about our census blogs, which whenever we're doing a major release, we normally do a blog associated with that release because it kind of gives us the freedom to go more in depth on certain subjects that would not be appropriate in the news release. So we have our director's blog, which we feature that since 2009, and you can hear directly from the director of the Census Bureau. And then we have our random samplings blog, which gives a good look from our subject matter experts, where they explain the work they do and the statistics and things like that. So our Research Matters blog is it goes into survey and methodology and confidentiality associated with our data. And then the Global Reach blog provides information on foreign trade data and trade regulations and import-export trade statistics. Going back, we also have our Facts for Features, which is something that we provide for basically the recognition months. So we just did a special one on the 1950 census records release. March was Women's History Month, so we highlight that. And the Facts for Features kind of gives demographic, economic information that highlights kind of America's diversity and how our population is changing, and what new things are coming up for those populations. Our press releases our press kits are, whenever we have a major release, we do an associated press kit. And this is basically like the point where everything is located. We just had our vintage 2021 county and metro population estimates. And this is where the news releases, the data tables, and the different downloadable files, and the methodology, American Count stories, graphics, data tools, etc. And next is where our news releases are. This is under press releases. So if you're looking for the latest, what has been the latest released from the Census Bureau, it is separated by year, and you can look at everything we've released since the beginning of the year. Next would be our Stats for Stories. This is very similar to our Facts for Features, but it's more like National Telephone Day, Volunteer Week. Instead of focusing on whole months, it focuses on special anniversaries and recognition events. And then finally, if you want to know what's coming up, then we have what's called our biweekly tip sheet. And this tells you what has been released and what is coming up. And it'll give you the release day or the estimated release day of certain events. So like we have the National Advisory Committee spring meeting that's coming up in May. And then separated into 2020 Census, American Community Survey, our demographics, economics, and a variety of other subjects. So that is it for me. If you want to reach us, you can email us at pio@census.gov or give us a call at 301-763-3030. Ileana?
Okay, let's see. There we go. Are you seeing my screen?
We are not.
No, it's doing that again. Can somebody pull up the screens? We are on slide 28 now. Or actually 25. Let's go to 25. Sorry about this, but there's a little glitch in our system today. This is the second time it happened. But I do thank you for your patience. Okay, so the slide that you're looking at now is basically what Christina covered, so you don't have to worry about remembering where she went and how to get there. We have links. This is to the main newsroom. Next slide. Okay, these are the links directly to the press kits, your biweekly tip sheets, your email signups, your embargo news releases, and so on. Next sheet, next slide. Okay, and then for the stats for stories or facts for features, these monthly, you have that on page 27, or say slide 27. And next slide. Okay, we do invite you to connect with us on social media, and also with, so you can access the updates and the releases that go on site. Sometimes the releases that are posted on our social media is different, a different slant, if you will, than what we post on our webpage. So we do invite you to connect that way. Next slide. And just as a real quick recap, this is what we covered today. I know that it's a lot, but the recording and the presentation will be made available for you. And we went through our public information office, where you can get your questions answered or request interviews or any embargo questions. You have America Counts, the infographics and visualizations, and a sampling of the tools that we have available online for you to access the data. Under the surveys and program, we went through the decennial census, the American Community Survey, the current population survey, population estimates, some of our economic programs, our pulse surveys, and a tour of the COVID-19, or pictures of the COVID-19 hub. Next slide. Okay, these are the answers to the questions that were peppered through the presentation. So under the current unemployment rate, we have the unemployment rate for March at 3.6. The new residential sales for February of 2022 was at an annual rate of 772,000. And the gender pay gap that came in, I think I glossed through that slide real quickly, and the 2019 median for workers, men and women, are posted there, and the links will take you directly to that site. Next slide. Okay, these are our contact information, and you can reach us there. And Kim, do we have any questions?
We do have a question, Ileana.
Okay, Viviana, go ahead.
Yes, it says, is there a way to see a full list of the days that are acknowledged in the Stats for Stories section, like for the entire year?
I believe they're archived by vintage, so if not on the Stats for Stories, you would have to go to the individual links. Christina, do you have any suggestions?
No, as soon as they're scheduled, then they would show. So if we don't have anything scheduled, then it wouldn't show on this list, and that's updated every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. The other question is, when will the census data be released? But it doesn't really have what type of census data they're referring to.
Okay, so decennial census data, the only data that has been released thus far for 2020 is the apportionment and the redistricting, and then the metrics on the data quality. The detailed housing, those detailed tables or data have not been released yet. That's where, if you're interested in that data, and that is the data in terms of the racial makeup, the relationship makeup on the housing, all of those particulars, if you want to know when they're coming out, if you go to the subscription site, go down the checklist or the pick list that is available and select Decennial 2020 products. And then that way, when we release the data, you will be notified. And usually when we release the data, it is accompanied by a webinar so that we let people know what is being released, how it's different from last time, and you have an opportunity for question and answer. Hope that helps.
Thank you, Eliana. And there are no other questions.
Thank you, Viviana. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'd like to thank you very much to the presenters for this excellent presentation. Before we conclude, I'd like to thank everyone who played a role in today's webinar, and also, of course, thank you to the audience for spending your time with us this afternoon. Please take a moment to fill out the evaluation by following the link provided in the chat or Q&A. Look out for the recording PowerPoint presentation on the Academy by visiting census.gov/academy. We also would like to remind everyone that the next webinar in this series is coming up on April the 28th. It's the Top 3 Tools Tour. We look forward to your joining us then. This brings us to a close, so we thank you again and hope you have a great afternoon.
This concludes today's webinar. Thank you for participating. You may disconnect at this time.